Firms can't build an AI strategy with messy data and disconnected systems. I'm joined by Oleg Tishkevich, a true pioneer in our space, to break it all down for me. Oleg, pleasure having you here. Always look forward to talking with you.
Likewise. It's always fun.
So I want to start at high level because when nVent stepped into the messy data landscape that can certainly be our industry, what was the core insight behind the data lakehouse and unified experience approach? What were you really trying to solve for?
I noticed in the industry, like back when I started in 2019, a lot of systems, and till this day, they're very, not integrated, and the data is all over the place. Clients, advisors clients have to log into 4 different portals just to see their information. Advisors are swiveling chair and looking at like 5 different systems, 50 tabs open. One of our clients said, I have octopus hands, so I'm just going and before client meeting.
I always say sore necks because everyone's having to whip around the different systems.
Exactly, right. So it was really a challenging situation. Obviously, some of it was solved by companies that created sort of an all-in-one solution, but even then, advisors want to be able to have customization. They want to be able to use the tools they want to use. They're independent after all, right? And that was a real issue. So, the solution that we came up with, and many have come to that solution as well, is building out a data layer that brings all this data together, and then that's what powers that single pane of glass experience on a single source of truth data model. So that's what nVent kind of started back in 2019, and I thought it was going to be an easier task, but it was a pretty challenging thing to do, especially as you think about security, you think about entitlements, how you set it up so different types of businesses, brokerage, RIA, all kind of live together under one roof in a single data structure. That really adds a lot of complexity, but that's what our team have been building out all these years, and I think we created a pretty remarkable base for that.
I would say so. So I hope the pain was absolutely worth it, because nVent actually has a reputation for making technology integrations better. Has the goal shifted at all for you?
So really a lot of things have changed in the last, I would say, 6 to 8 months I know, I'm going to say the swear word, as we all encountered AI enter our world, right, very quickly, and really penetrating it at a high speed, right? So, before trying to solve the problem, connecting systems and, trying to do things through APIs and data feeds and all that, it's still required, but, I think AI added an additional level of complexity. At first, I was like, oh, I can just do everything through AI. I'm just going to grab things, MCP, another swear word, sorry about that, connect to all these different systems, and everything's going to be great. But at the end of the day, if your data is not in good state in 3 different systems and you can make sense out of it, you think AI can? Highly doubt that, right? So it's still kind of garbage in, garbage out. So I think what AI provides is a capability to really leverage automation and a lot of insights, especially when it comes to intelligent thinking or coming up with summaries or reporting, et cetera. So it's significantly improved our lives, but it is a probabilistic system. So how would you like to see your statement 80% chance correct, right? That's probably doesn't sound a lot of like fun, right? So those guardrails that you need to create. So I guess from integration perspective, now you start not just talking about integrating systems through kind of reliable connectivity through data and APIs, but also you start thinking about creating guardrails for AI to basically deliver the right advice and the right solutioning and the right information back to the user, again, making sure that it's 100% consistent. And that actually added some more complexity, even though you demos well, but once you get that to a production environment, that's where advisors say, well, why doesn't it work the way it was advertised, right? Probability. It was 80% chance it would work right.
Yeah. It's like the Anchorman quote, 60% of the time works 100% of the time. So I was going to say the FCC is going to slap us with a fine with all these swear words that we're dropping in this interview. But In all seriousness, firms are understandably nervous about getting locked into one platform or vendor, especially with how fast AI is moving, to your point. How do you think about integration that doesn't depend on a specific technology or provider?
So an interesting trend is emerging that we see. Before, way back in the, whatever, when people, only large companies could afford building software, right? Like the Merrill Lynches of the world, right? And independent advisory was just in its, beginning stages. There were very few providers. Then, obviously, SaaS really democratized the entire software industry. Everybody started bidding, using different applications, best of breed, all that kind of approach, and stop building things in-house, right? What interesting trend with AI that's happening, because the life cycle of creating a new application with AI coding is definitely compressed significantly, right? With the right guardrails, with the right structure, with the right architecture team, you can do this much faster. So what we're seeing is that firms are looking at the all-in-one solutions like, okay, I can kind of trust this one provider to do everything for me. It's a path, right? Some firms, especially smaller size, they're thinking, okay, I'm not going to be able to build it myself. I may as well just go to that provider to provide everything, right? And that may be a great model for them. Medium-sized to large-sized firms started to think about, okay, we do want to provide the best experience. We do want to differentiate and not be like everybody else. And we do want to create our own kind of special sauce. So because building things now are much easier, building applications on a fully integrated platform with everything else becomes a really interesting value proposition, because you don't need to think about connecting to 100 plus, different systems that, let's say, are already available and connected on the nVent platform. So, we're seeing firms actually leveraging AI and building their own stacks and creating custom applications that maybe were covered, by one or two vendors before, so that they could have a very unique, capability, or leveraging API from a vendor and building something that is specific for them. And with nVent, our system kind of supports both of those models. So either they kind of create a best of breed, taking different pieces and creating that single pane of glass experience, or they can each kind of create their unique applications, if you will, that are unique for their firm to reflect kind of how they do business with their clients.
I feel like we're in a bit of a cyclical moment in our industry too, now that the buy versus build debate is back. I was talking about this maybe a decade ago, and now we are here with the advent of AI in our space. We're back to having that conversation. And it feels like we can't predict out as far as maybe we could in the past now because of AI. We used to say, where do you see the industry going the next 3 to 5 years? But now it feels like the next 3 to 6 months. So I have to ask, what's top of mind for you when it comes to the future of our industry?
I actually did a research with AI with 2 different LLMs, with ChatGPT and with Anthropic, to answer that specific question: what's going to happen to our economy, what's going to happen to our industry, and some really interesting output that was generated, like what jobs are going to be, new jobs are going to be created, what jobs are going to disappear. So the biggest impact that both AIs kind of agreed on, and I see this now too, is collapse of the corporate ladder. So it's interesting how it's going to happen. What's going to happen? Like, who would hire junior people from college that don't have any experience, when it's pretty much like hiring an AI that already has the same thing, although it has all the information in the world at their disposal. So that is becoming an issue. But from a future perspective, what that research really focused on is in our industry, really larger firms have a large scale and are able to move faster because they're able to deploy capital and move faster. Smaller firms are going to be in a disadvantage, and not just in the financial services industry, like everywhere else. The big challenge that research discovered is, if we don't manage our policy and we don't manage how we do, allow these firms to grow exponentially very quickly. It's predicting, trillion-dollar, firms and trillionaires, and then on the other side, the opposite where people that don't have, they don't have even more. Right? So definitely a lot of challenges, a lot of interesting turbulent times ahead of us with the introduction of this big disruptor, AI. But at the same time, the flourishing scenario, we all live happily ever after. Robots do everything, and we just chill with the three-hour work days. That's pretty much, depending which side you're on.
I was going to say,
offer a couple of different options.
I'm going to continue to err on the side of cautious optimism a little bit.
Right.
Well, Oleg, it is always a pleasure getting to speak about tech and trends with you. I really appreciate your time and insights.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon.
For Wealth Management, I'm Shannon Rossick.